Love, dreams, and sacrifice are the foundation of Sumit Singh and Jenny Slatten's life. The couple, known worldwide from 90 Day Fiancé, were never just another reality TV story. They were two people who fought against distance, culture, age differences, and society just to be together. After years of sacrifice and careful saving, Sumit Singh and his wife Jenny Slatten invested their lifelong savings, about $1 million, into building a restaurant. Through hard work and dedication, they made the business successful. But yesterday afternoon, tragedy struck. An unexpected incident caused a devastating fire at the restaurant. During the blaze, Jenny was trapped inside and nearly 45% of her body was severely burned. She is now in the ICU, fighting for her life. Sumit is emotionally and mentally shattered. He is facing the fear of losing his beloved wife, while also watching their dream restaurant, built with years of savings, turn into ashes. The family has suffered a financial loss of around $1.5 million. Today, their dream has collapsed. On one side, the restaurant is gone. On the other, Jenny is battling for survival. His beloved wife is fighting for her life, and the ashes of their destroyed restaurant mark the end of their life's work. This is not just news. This is their reality. To understand this tragedy, you must first understand how the dream began. Sumit Singh and Jenny Slatten were no strangers to challenges. Their love story, shown on 90 Day Fiancé, became one of the most talked about romances on reality television. They faced criticism because of their age gap, cultural differences, and family disapproval. Still, they stood together. Their dream was not fame or luxury. It was simple. They wanted to create something lasting together, something that would prove that love, hard work, and resilience could build a future. That dream became a restaurant. They saved money for years. They cut expenses, lived modestly, and set aside every possible dollar. Slowly, they gathered $1 million, their life savings. Jenny once told friends, "This restaurant is more than just food. It's our love served on a plate." When the doors finally opened, it felt magical. The restaurant was not just a place to eat. It was an experience. Customers were welcomed by Jenny's warm smile and Sumit's dedication. The menu reflected their journey, blending Indian traditions with American flavors, symbolizing their unique bond. The walls displayed photographs of their travels, moments from their show, and personal memories that made guests feel like family. The community responded with love. The restaurant quickly became a local favorite. Reservations were full. Reviews were glowing. For the first time in years, Sumit and Jenny felt they could breathe. They had built something beautiful together. Every dream starts with a vision, but turning it into reality takes effort. For Sumit and Jenny, the vision was clear, a restaurant that would be their legacy. They wanted more than a business. They wanted a place that reflected their story and their strength. Finding the right location was not easy. For months, they looked at small storefronts, expensive units, and abandoned spaces. None felt right. Then one day, they found it, a spacious corner property in a lively neighborhood where the streets were always busy and food brought people together. The place was old and dusty, but Jenny saw possibility. Sumit saw home. They signed the lease, ready to give it everything. Renovations drained them financially, emotionally, and physically. Walls were rebuilt. The kitchen was redesigned. Permits were obtained. Furniture was purchased. Bills piled up. Friends warned them that they were risking too much. But they were committed. Jenny worked late nights planning designs and menus. Sumit negotiated with contractors and suppliers. They argued and cried, but they never gave up. When the restaurant was finally ready, it was beautiful. Warm lights, elegant tables, art on the walls, and a shining kitchen. But what made it special was the story behind it. They named it S&J's Kitchen, a name that represented them both equally. On opening night, the restaurant was packed. People were excited, not only about the food, but about the couple behind it. Fans who had followed their journey on television came to witness this new chapter. The menu reflected who they were. Indian spices blended with American recipes. Jenny's homemade apple pie was served alongside Sumit's rich butter chicken. Customers loved it. That night, Jenny looked around and whispered, "We did it." Sumit held her hand and smiled. In that moment, they were not just reality stars. They were entrepreneurs and partners. The early days were not easy. Suppliers demanded payments. Staff needed training. Menus had to be adjusted. Some nights the restaurant was half empty and doubts appeared. Jenny would sit in the office and ask, "Did we make the right choice?" Sumit would gently reply, "We did. We just have to hold on." And they did. Slowly, word spread. Customers praised the food and the warm atmosphere. Online reviews described it as a hidden gem and a love story served on a plate. Fans from 90 Day Fiancé traveled from different states to dine there. They took photos with Jenny and Sumit and shared them online, giving the restaurant free publicity. Within a year, S&J's Kitchen became one of the most loved restaurants in the neighborhood. Tables were always full. Families celebrated birthdays there. Couples went on dates. Tourists added it to their travel lists. Jenny walked through the dining room, smiling and speaking to guests. Sumit worked hard in the kitchen, making sure every dish was perfect. The financial pressure began to ease. Debts were paid. The restaurant became profitable. The million-dollar risk was finally paying off. Jenny said she could finally sleep peacefully, knowing they had built something real. For them, success was not just about money. It was about pride. They had created something many people doubted they could. Each night, as they locked the doors, they felt stronger and closer. The restaurant was their creation, like a child they had raised together. In the days before the tragedy, life felt perfect. The restaurant was fully booked weeks in advance. Food critics praised their unique blend of flavors. Their names were now respected in the culinary world. Jenny loved hearing laughter and conversations in the dining hall during busy hours. It made her happy to see people making memories in the space they had built. Sumit stayed focused in the kitchen, proud of his growth as a head chef. His dishes told their story: spiced samosas beside creamy cheesecakes, butter chicken next to apple pie. Everything they had dreamed of was finally real. And then, in a single afternoon, fire turned that dream into ashes. Together, they had created not just a restaurant, but a heartbeat in the community. On weekends, families lined up outside. Tourists came after hearing the buzz online. Some fans even flew across the country to meet them. They took photos, asked for autographs, and always said the same thing: "You too inspire us." Jenny and Sumit often sat together after closing, talking about the future. Jenny would say softly, "Maybe one day we'll open a second branch." Sumit would smile, "One dream at a time, my love." They were happy, proud, and finally beginning to believe their struggles were behind them. But fate has a cruel way of striking when you least expect it. While they were living in the glow of their success, no one could have predicted what was coming. A storm, a fire, a nightmare that would burn everything they had built into ashes. October 3rd began like any other day, but it ended in tragedy. The restaurant opened at noon. The air smelled of spices and freshly baked bread. Customers filled the tables. Jenny moved from table to table, her laughter echoing. Sumit stayed in the kitchen, calm, focused, proud. It was supposed to be a perfect day. Around 3:45 p.m., staff noticed a faint smell of burning wires. At first, they thought a pan had overheated, but soon smoke began rising near the storage room. One waiter shouted, "Fire! Fire!" Panic erupted. Alarms went off. Customers screamed. Chairs fell. Plates shattered as people rushed to the exits. Sumit pushed his staff out first, shouting, "Get everyone outside. Hurry!" His heart pounded. But where was Jenny? She had been helping an elderly couple in the far corner, staying behind to guide them to safety. By the time she turned around, the fire had spread fast and fierce. Thick smoke filled the dining hall. Flames climbed the walls, devouring everything. Jenny coughed violently, her eyes burning. She tried to move toward the exit, but the fire blocked her path. Outside, Sumit scanned desperately, shouting her name, his voice cracking with fear. Jenny was nowhere to be found. Then he heard her faint voice from inside the blaze. His blood ran cold. Firefighters arrived, sirens wailing, water hoses blasting, but Sumit tried to run back in. Neighbors and staff held him back, shouting, "You'll die if you go in." Tears streamed down his face as he fought to break free. Inside, Jenny was trapped, pressed against a wall, shielding herself from the heat. The fire had caught her clothes. She screamed in agony. 2 firefighters stormed in with oxygen masks. They found Jenny unconscious, her body burned, breathing shallow. With all their strength, they carried her out. Sumit fell to his knees, seeing her like that, his wife, his partner, his love, unrecognizable, trembling with every fragile breath. Paramedics rushed her into an ambulance. Sumit climbed in beside her, holding her hand, whispering, "Stay with me, Jenny. Please stay with me." Behind them, S and J's kitchen collapsed into flames. Their million-dollar dream was reduced to blackened ruins. The community stood in shock, helpless, as firefighters battled the fire. The restaurant was gone, and Jenny's life hung by a thread. Inside the burning restaurant, time slowed. For Jenny, those minutes felt endless. One moment she was helping customers. The next, thick black smoke wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. The exit was a few feet away, but flames had already blocked the path. Her chest tightened. Every breath burned. She could hear people outside shouting, chairs scraping, plates breaking, and Sumit's desperate voice calling her name. Her legs felt heavy. The heat was unbearable. Jenny pressed against the wall, trying to shield herself, but the fire moved faster, licking her clothes. Her skin seared in seconds. She screamed, thinking of Sumit, their love, and all they had built. This can't be the end. Not like this, she thought. Her body trembled. Strength slipping, she clawed at the floor, trying to crawl toward the faint daylight. Her hands shook. Her lungs begged for air. She whispered, "Please, not now. I can't leave him yet." Then, 2 firefighters burst through the smoke. Flashlights scanned desperately until they found her, collapsed, burned, barely conscious. "We've got one," they shouted. They pulled her up, wrapping her in fire-resistant blankets, shielding her fragile body. Her skin was blistered, her face pale, but she was alive. Outside, she collapsed into Sumit's arms. He wept uncontrollably, whispering, "Stay with me, Jenny. Please don't leave me now." She whispered faintly, "I'm sorry. I tried." Then her eyes closed. Paramedics worked frantically, strapping oxygen masks to her face, inserting IVs, pushing fluids and pain relief to keep her alive. Sumit sat frozen beside her, gripping her hands, tears falling onto sheets already stained with soot and blood. He whispered again and again, "Stay with me, Jenny. Stay with me. I can't lose you now." The ambulance tore through the streets. Every bump and turn felt like a battle against time. At the hospital entrance, doctors and nurses rushed to the ICU. Jenny was carried on a stretcher, her body burned, face pale, motionless. Sumit tried to follow but was stopped. "Sir, you can't go in. Please wait here." He begged, "That's my wife. Please, I need to be with her." The doors closed. He collapsed onto a bench, burying his face in his hands, sobbing. Around him, strangers watched silently, offering comfort or stunned by the scene. Inside the ICU, doctors worked tirelessly. Tubes, machines, and monitors focused on her fragile body. Her heart struggled, lungs fought, and her body trembled under the burns. The lead doctor whispered, "Severe burns, 45%. This is critical." Hours passed. Each minute felt like a lifetime. Sumit paced, prayed, whispered her name into the silence, hoping she could hear him. Finally, a doctor stepped out. Sumit rushed forward. "Please tell me, is she alive?" he asked. The doctor placed a hand on his shoulder. "She's alive, but barely. The next 48 hours are critical. We'll do everything we can, but it's up to her strength now." Sumit sank to the floor, tears streaming. The love of his life was behind those ICU doors, fighting the hardest battle of her life. Outside, the ashes of their restaurant still smoldered, reminders of a dream destroyed in an instant. The fire was no longer just a disaster. It was a battle between life and death, and the fight had only just begun. Sumit Singh sat on the cold hospital bench, his hands still gripping Jenny's. The sound of monitors and the quiet urgency of the ICU surrounded him, but he barely noticed. In his mind, he was replaying every moment of the day, the laughter, the smell of spices, Jenny's bright smile, and the sudden, unbearable chaos of smoke and fire. Every image of the restaurant, once alive with energy and life, now existed only in ashes and memory. The dreams they had built together, the hours spent renovating, the late nights planning menus and tables, it was all gone in a single, merciless instant. Outside, the city continued as usual, unaware of the tragedy unfolding inside the hospital. People walked past the fire-damaged street, noting the scorched building with quiet curiosity or sorrow. Neighbors whispered among themselves, stunned that a place they had celebrated and loved had been reduced to ruins. Social media was already alive with messages of concern, photos of the fire spreading, and well wishes for Jenny's recovery. For Sumit, all of this was distant noise. All that mattered was the fragile, burning life of the woman beside him. Inside the ICU, Jenny lay under the sterile glow of fluorescent lights. Her body was wrapped in medical dressings, and tubes connected her to machines that beeped in steady rhythm. Her chest rose and fell with each labored breath. Every inch of her burned skin was a reminder of the fire's ferocity, of the danger she had survived. Sumit never let go of her hand. Even as nurses and doctors adjusted equipment, he whispered softly, recounting memories to keep her anchored. "Remember our first night in the apartment?" he said, voice trembling. "You were scared, I was scared, and yet we held on. We can get through this too." The doctors had warned him that recovery from burns covering nearly half her body would be grueling, painful, and slow. Jenny would need multiple surgeries, skin grafts, and months, possibly years, of rehabilitation. The emotional toll alone would be immense. Sumit absorbed the weight of this reality silently, though his eyes betrayed the storm inside him. He had built a life with Jenny around love, laughter, and shared dreams, and now he had to summon every ounce of strength to face a future shadowed by uncertainty. In the hours that followed, Sumit barely left Jenny's side. He learned the routines of the ICU, how to check the monitors, how to adjust pillows to ease her pain, and how to interpret the subtle signals that doctors and nurses watched with such precision. Each beep of the heart monitor brought a surge of relief. Each slight drop in oxygen or rise in temperature sent his heart racing. He became her anchor, her voice in the silence, her connection to the world outside the hospital walls. Meanwhile, the aftermath of the fire was becoming clear. Insurance would cover some of the loss, but the damage was extensive. The restaurant was completely destroyed. The ovens, the dining tables, the photographs, the carefully curated decor, all reduced to rubble. It was more than just a financial loss. It was the physical embodiment of years of sacrifice, hope, and shared effort. Sumit and Jenny had poured everything into S&J's kitchen, not for fame or wealth, but for a home of their making. Now that home was gone. Friends, fans, and community members rallied around the couple. Messages poured in from social media, local news outlets, and even strangers who had once dined at the restaurant. "We're praying for Jenny," one message read. "You've inspired us for years. Don't give up." Volunteers arrived with meals, flowers, and donations. Some offered to help rebuild, while others shared contacts for medical care or counseling. Though Sumit was grateful for the support, it couldn't fill the emptiness of the restaurant or the pain of seeing Jenny so severely hurt. The first night in the hospital passed in a blur. Sumit remained seated, sometimes dozing, sometimes whispering stories and encouragements to Jenny. Memories of their wedding, the first time they met, the television appearances, and the tiny victories that had led to their restaurant, all these memories became his lifeline. He reminded her, softly but firmly, that she was not alone, that they had faced challenges before, and they would face this one too. By the second day, Jenny had stabilized, but the doctors warned that complications could arise at any moment. Infections, fluid imbalance, and organ stress were all risks after such severe burns. Sumit learned to be vigilant, watching for every small change. Each moment of calm was temporary, each breath a victory. He also began thinking about the future, not just about Jenny's recovery, but about how to rebuild their lives once she was strong enough. Sumit knew that the road ahead would test their love and resilience in ways they had never imagined. Beyond the physical healing, there would be emotional